Okay, let's just dive right into this explainer. If you've ever bought, sold, or even rented a home, you know exactly how incredibly stressful and expensive the whole process can be, right? But what you might not realize is that working completely behind the scenes is this massive, comprehensive legal framework, and it's designed entirely to keep your transactions safe and fair. Today, we're demystifying that framework by breaking down Singapore's Estate Agents Act of 2010. Now, the official coat of arms on this statute is a great reminder that we aren't just talking about a set of friendly industry guidelines here. No, this is hard law. These rules carry the full, absolute weight of the Republic of Singapore. And what's really fascinating is that they apply to literally every single property transaction handled by these agents, whether that property is located right here in Singapore or all the way overseas. So, to make sense of this massive 70-page document, we're going to break it down into 5 key pillars of protection. Number 1, we'll meet the referee, the CEA. Number 2, we'll look at agents versus salespersons. Number 3, the rule book and duties. Number 4, stopping dirty money. And finally, number 5, inspections and discipline. All right, let's kick things off with our first pillar. Meet the referee, the CEA. So the Council for Estate Agencies, or the CEA for short, is the statutory board tasked with basically overseeing all the players, enforcing the rules, and keeping absolute integrity in the real estate industry. And their mandate is huge. I mean, they don't just hand out licenses and call it a day. They're actively regulating how estate agency work is actually practiced on the ground. They manage consumer education, and they even administer the professional exams. Essentially, they are the ultimate gatekeepers, making sure that anyone dealing with your property is actually qualified to do so. And there's a really interesting quote from Section 9 of the Act that highlights something crucial. It explicitly mandates that the CEA is there to promote integrity and competence among estate agents and salespersons and to maintain or enhance their status. So they aren't just there to punish the bad actors. They are actively trying to elevate the entire profession's standards. The government really views these real estate professionals as trusted advisors, not just salespeople. The whole goal is to build a profession where high integrity is just the absolute norm, which at the end of the day means better service for us as consumers. Moving right along to our second pillar, agents versus salespersons. Okay, we need to clear up some legal jargon here because it's pretty important. In everyday conversation, we tend to call the person showing us around an apartment the agent, but legally speaking, that person is actually a registered salesperson. Under the law, estate agents are the actual business entities or companies that hold a license, while the salespersons are the individual human beings registered to do the physical work under them. You literally can't have one without the other. A salesperson has to act for an estate agent, and they can only act for one estate agent at a time. And to keep this market clean, the Act puts up some pretty strict barriers to entry. Before a salesperson can even get registered, they have to be at least 21 years old, and they have to pass this rigorous fit and proper person test. What does that mean? Well, it means absolutely no convictions for fraud or dishonesty, and they can't be an undischarged bankrupt. On top of that, there is a strict, outright ban on holding a moneylender's license. This is absolutely crucial because it ensures there are no predatory conflicts of interest going on when you're trying to negotiate a property price or figure out a mortgage. That brings us to our third pillar, the rulebook and duties. Now let's talk about the daily operational rules. These are mandatory steps designed to create a crystal clear chain of accountability. Basically, if something goes sideways with your property deal, the law knows exactly whose door to knock on. First up, every single estate agent company has to appoint a key executive officer, or KEO. This person takes on the overall responsibility for supervising all of their salespersons. Second, the salesperson must have a formal written agreement authorizing them to act for that specific agency. And third, they have to use prescribed estate agency agreements with clients before they can even think about claiming a commission. If you're out there buying a home, this specific consumer protection section is honestly your best friend. It's what keeps your wallet safe and ensures your transaction is totally transparent. By mandating these prescribed agreements, the Act totally eliminates the Wild West of handshake deals. You're going to know exactly what services you're paying for, exactly what the commission structure is, and you'll know for sure that the person representing you is legally authorized to do so. It completely shields you from hidden fees and unauthorized claims that could otherwise cost you thousands of dollars. All right, let's dive into our fourth pillar, stopping dirty money. Now, you might be a little surprised to hear this, but your local property market is actually deeply tied to global security. Seriously, real estate professionals are the frontline defense against global terrorism and something called proliferation financing, which is the act of providing funds used for weapons of mass destruction. I know, it sounds like a spy movie, but it's real life. Because real estate is such a prime vehicle for moving illicit, dirty money, the Act places this incredibly heavy responsibility squarely on the industry's shoulders to prevent money laundering, terrorism financing, and proliferation financing. Because we're talking about massive, massive sums of money changing hands here. Agents and salespeople are legally bound to set up strict anti-money laundering defenses. This is exactly why your agent is always asking you for so much documentation. They are legally required by the Act to perform thorough customer due diligence as well as counterparty due diligence. They have to keep incredibly rigorous records of all this information, and crucially, they have a legal mandate to disclose any suspicious transactions to the authorities. So they aren't just being nosy, they're literally following the law to the letter. And finally, that brings us to our fifth and final pillar, inspections and discipline. So what happens when the rules get broken? Well, the law grants inspectors some serious muscle. They have sweeping powers to uncover fraud and noncompliance. Inspectors appointed by the CEA can enter and search premises, demand documents, and even seize evidence like hard drives and computers right on the spot if they think evidence is going to be destroyed. They can even summon individuals to attend interviews and compel them to answer questions. These are incredibly robust investigative tools designed to dig up the truth, no matter how deeply somebody tries to bury it. And when they do catch someone, the financial penalties are just staggering. We are talking up to $200,000. That's the amount a disciplinary committee can levy against an estate agent for failing to prevent money laundering. This is definitely not just a slap on the wrist, right? The financial consequences are intentionally severe to ensure absolute compliance. Oh, and keep in mind that $200,000 fine, that is per contravention. It adds up incredibly fast. Individual salespersons face equally life-altering stakes as well, with maximum fines for anti-money laundering contraventions hitting $100,000. And even for more general breaches of the Act, a disciplinary committee can still impose really hefty fines, make them pay the cost of the investigation, or issue formal written censures. The law basically makes it financially ruinous to act dishonestly or negligently in the real estate market. But it goes beyond just financial ruin. The CEA has the power to take away livelihoods. They can temporarily suspend a license or registration or go for a complete revocation. If a disciplinary committee finds sufficient cause, they can pull a salesperson's registration entirely, meaning they have to immediately cease all estate agency work. This is the ultimate penalty, and it guarantees that bad actors are swiftly and permanently removed from the ecosystem. It's all about protecting future consumers from getting burned. So, as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a question to think about. How do these invisible legal frameworks protect your daily life and secure your biggest financial investments? Take a moment to consider how this hidden architecture of rules, strict referees, and severe consequences actually gives you peace of mind when you finally sit down to sign that massive property contract. From making sure your salesperson is a fit and proper individual, to mandating crystal clear contracts, to literally guarding against global terrorism financing, the Estate Agents Act of 2010 is silently working in your favor every single day. Next time you engage with the property market, you'll know exactly what kind of protection is standing right behind you.